If you want to learn to do the Marylin Monroe, which is a dynamic transition in handstands, this tutorial is for you. What's up everyone, this is Vincent Viss from the Handstand Academy, and today we talk about a sexy, eye-appealing transition upside down called the Marylin Monroe. I've called it this way because of the peculiar, iconic position we end up having with our knees that reminds us of the famous film star. This is quite an advanced transition. Not only will you go through 4 different positions without losing it, you will have to perform circles at your hip and your knees, which will create disruption. In the Marylin Monroe, we go through 4 shapes: the straddle, the diamond, the X, and the feet together. The X may be new to you. In this position, we have our knees together and our feet apart from each other. The minimum prerequisite for this should therefore be 15 seconds at least with ease in each of these positions, ideally 30 seconds in static hold. You should also be able to transition easily from one to the other. In other words, if your current level of shape-shifting is 2 positions, being able to go from one position to the other, then you may need to get that a bit stronger, because here we're going to go through 4 positions back and forth while adding movements to it. This is what I specialize in, by the way, online when I coach people. So if you want my help to get there and then tackle more advanced drills and techniques like the Marylin Monroe, the seaweed, the press, and more, then check out the link in the description below. So remember, the Marylin Monroe is a circular motion, and we're going to zoom on that together. Before we add the twirls that make it look the way it looks, we need to be able to go linearly through each of those positions, as we would be doing for a normal shape-shifting sequence. When you look at the Marylin Monroe, there is a way up and a way down. We can either start it from the straddle and swirl our way up, or start from a feet together handstand and twirl our way down. My advice, and you will see why later, is that you practice from the straddle up to the feet together, because the weird movements we're going to have to grasp around the hips and the knees are much easier felt this way. First thing first, we need to be able to master the transitions from one position to the other through the 4 shapes we have mentioned before in a linear way. We do not add any fluffy movement. We try to hone our holds in each of those positions that we will travel through. So, start in the straddle and go into a diamond. Practice this transition here, in which the knees pretty much stay still. They just bend, but the knees themselves stay on the same level, and make sure that you are able to go from one to the other at different speeds. Once you have this, practice going from the diamond to the X. The diamond has the knees apart and the feet together. The X has the knees together and the feet apart. So they are mirroring each other. The X is quite unusual, so if you haven't practiced that, you may need some time doing so. You can also bring it back to the wall if it's a bit too weird at first. Finally, practice going from the X to the feet together and feel what happens in your hips when you do so. You may feel that one of those transitions is not as smooth as the others. This is an invitation for you to hone and perfect this one before you move any further. After that, we of course want to be able to go from the straddle to the diamond, to the X, to the feet together, and back to the X, and back to the diamond, and back to the straddle in a continuous, smooth way. Do not rush this. This is easier than the actual movement. So we need that foundation to be strong before we start losing our balance, adding some twirling movements. Once you have this solid, it's time to add rotations. What you want to understand is that the Marylin Monroe is a circular transition. We are effectively drawing circles with our feet as we transition up and down. There are 2 circles involved here, and we're going to call them the higher circles that we perform as we go from the straddle through the diamond to the X, and the lower circle that we perform from the X to the feet together. The highest circle is a bigger circle that really involves your hips. We want the transition from the straddle to the X to be continuous. When we are in the straddle, instead of bending the legs linearly to bring the foot to the other in a diamond, and then bringing the knees together into the X, we will want to draw a circle in front of us with the foot, and then behind us as both knees find each other. A bit like a compass. This is what gives the initial higher twirl. Once the feet are together, there's another little circle that happens behind us. The knees are glued together, the foot travels outwards in a circular fashion and finds the other foot at the center. This is hard to grasp at first, so we're going to practice that at the wall, standing up first, lying down second, and isolating the higher and lower circles last while upside down. Standing up against the wall, I invite you to first figure out with one leg what you would be naturally doing if you were to transition linearly from the straddle to the diamond to the X to the feet together. See what it's like to naturally shape shift between those four positions. This is what you have been doing. Now, let's try to isolate the circular motion. It is akin to having your knee placed in space and drawing a circle with your foot. This is the beginning of the higher circle. I want you to extend the knee to draw a half a circle in front of yourself and then bring the knee to the other. Extend your leg in the straddle. Bend the leg to draw a big circle in front of your body, and as you bring the knee towards the other, keep drawing that circles behind you. Half a circle in front of you as you go from the straddle to the diamond, and half a circle behind you as you go from the diamond to the X. From the X, half a circle going behind you into the feet together position. From the X into the feet together position. It can help for you to picture a clock. We're going to extend together our right leg out. The right leg is pointing towards 3 o'clock. We want it, as we draw the higher circle, to go counterclockwise towards midday, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and back to 3 o'clock. From the X position, still facing towards 3, it will rotate once more back to midday. Same idea, lying down, isolate the higher and the lower circles, first independently and then trying to bring them two together in a continuous motion from the straddle all the way to feet together. You can also try to reverse it with the sensations well set in your bones, and that's how you create some muscle memory for your practice upside down. Upside down, you can practice those circles while in the frog position, drawing circles with your feet. And as we were saying, from the straddle, circle your feet around into an X, and then from the X, circle into a feet together handstand. Practice the higher circles and the lower circles independently first, and then try to continuously go into it. Avoid banging your knees when you go up, and once you master the way up, practice the way down as well. Hopefully this gave you a lot of tips and techniques to master this beautiful movement. If you have any question, let me know in the comments and I shall see you soon. Please also subscribe to the channel if you like this content. This helps me much more than you think, and I shall see you very soon for another tutorial.